be a good disciple, you need to study the scriptures. You need to find out who God is and how he's worked in our lives over the many years. And the best way to do that is through the scriptures. Hi, I'm Marla Wilson. I've been a Catholic all of my life, though when I was a child, I didn't learn how to read. I'm dyslexic. Therefore, I didn't read any books all through school until I was in high school. And a friend of mine came over with her Bible and she showed it to me, and I found all the wonderful words inside. And I was so excited that I started reading scripture regularly and then got better at reading and was able to read other things as well. I have always been a Catholic. I was raised a Catholic. My father has been a deacon since the early 70s. And having the Catholic faith in our home was very important to us. So I was raised as a Catholic. My Catholic faith has always been very important to me. I did go around and try some of the other churches. When I was in college, I went to every Bible study possible. The Baptist, the Presbyterian, the Disciples of Christ, and even going to their churches and witnessing how they worship. I discovered that Catholicism is my way to follow Christ. The scripture helps us to be good disciples by leading us through what God has done in the world and how to be more like God and how to share God with everyone we meet. So being a disciple means to follow Christ and to do his plan and will every day. So it's important to know what we're doing. So we have to check in every day with God and say, hey, I'm here. What do you need me to do? And so often it is spelled out for us in our scriptures. My way of studying scripture has changed over the years. At first, I would just pop the book open and read what was there, and then close it up and go on with what I'm doing, and meditate just throughout the day on that one scripture. And then, as I got out of college, I started doing formal Bible studies, things like Little Rock Bible studies, where you read the passages and answer specific questions and find out the background of that. I've also done where you pray the scriptures, where you read it in a prayerful manner and meditate on it and have it speak directly to what's going on in your life. So I do morning prayer with the breviary. I do daily mass. I've also done great lectures on how the scriptures came to be, what was going on at the time, and what was happening in the lives of the people who wrote it. I've done where you read the scripture and actually put yourself in the place of the scripture as if you were one of the participants who was really part of it, like the prodigal son. Sometimes you're the son who left, and sometimes you're the brother who remained, and sometimes you're the father who's celebrating the coming back of the son. I keep a journal with me all the time when I go to mass, when I'm out and about, so that when I have free time and I am looking at scripture or I'm at mass and hearing a scripture, I write down what's happening, how it hit me. A recent time that scripture has really spoken to me was at Sunday's Mass for the weeks in Lent. It was from Mark 9, 2 through 10. So that after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John up to the mountain. And at that point, he was transfigured. He just shone as bright and as wonderful. And the disciples got to see a piece of what heaven and what Jesus really is. And they said, we'd like to just stay here forever. This is wonderful. And Jesus said, no, we're moving on. But on reflecting that, I got to thinking about how precious that was. It was like gold, and it shone like gold. But there's also a false gold. And we want to make sure that we're focused on the real gold and the true God, and not the false gods, all those wonderful, fabulous, earthly things that try and grab our attention and distract us from who God really is. And so, in reflecting on that scripture, Mark 9, I realized that I need to also focus on what is the true God and how do I stay focused on the true and not let the false golds, the false, shiny, brilliant things distract me from what God has in plan for me. When I was in college, I met a young man, and his family had always been Baptist. His father was a Baptist minister. He thought he was going to study religion, so he also could be a minister. But I showed him some of the things of the Catholic faith. And we would go to the Wednesday night Mass, and then we'd talk about the different parts of the Mass and how the different parts of the Mass had affected me and how I saw them, and answered his questions about them. Well, after graduating from college, he didn't go and be a Baptist minister. He entered the Catholic monasteries and has become a Catholic priest and is now serving at a parish far away. I've never seen him again, but he's now serving other people as a parish priest. I think we disciple people all the time without even realizing it. People in the neighborhood, sometimes they're going through a struggle and you mentioned a little something about a scripture that you've read or a time that God's spoken to you, and then that speaks to them, and then they start researching or reading the scripture for themselves and attending Mass more regularly. And when you fill yourself up, when you're filling and feasting on the Lord's gift to you in scripture, then you have it to share with others.